President Biden on his new plan now to reduce energy and gas prices, again placing the painful prices squarely on the back of President Vladimir Putin. Biden announcing increased domestic production and increased supply by tapping into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, releasing 1 million barrels of oil a day for 6 months to give us all a bit of a financial break here. For more, let's bring in ABC News business correspondent Deidre Bolton. So, Deidre, let's just walk us through Biden's plan here to offset these rising prices at the pump.
So, Kara, we just have to notice the significance and the context of this release, that 180 million barrels over the next 6 months. As you said, this is huge. So 1 million barrels per day for these next 180 days. So that's going to bring the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, that's going to bring it down to its lowest levels since 1984. So that is a significant amount, and it is a sustained amount. We did, of course, hear President Biden say, not really sure, it was in response to a question that a reporter asked, how much is this going to affect everyday Americans? How much is this going to take off the price at the pump? We heard him give the range up to 35 cents per gallon, 10 to 35 cents per gallon. My sources are saying it's probably going to be a little bit lower, somewhere between 10 and 20 cents per gallon in all reality. But for all of us who are paying 47% more right now than we were this time last year, we'll take those 10 to 20 cents. So, Kira, some other additional headlines. Of course, you heard him speak about punishing oil and gas companies that have wells that are not in production right now, and saying essentially use or lose, either get oil, get gas out of your properties, or you are going to be fined. There'll be these punitive fines placed on it. And I think also just not worth ignoring completely is he reiterated his larger vision for us to all go greener, longer term, and the goal, of course, of the U.S. to be energy independent, which I will say most analysts do consider us to be energy independent in the sake that we export more than we import, Kira.
Deidre, thanks so much. Let's get straight to our senior White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Mary, it was pretty astounding, the Biden just ripping into oil companies there, even demanding a sense of ethics with regard to profits and availability, and clearly putting it square to them that they owe us.
Yeah, this was quite a dressing down from the president. You know, this is sort of the second part of this plan. On one hand, he's tapping into the strategic oil reserve, but on the other hand, he's also saying that these private companies need to step it up. And he's describing this as a use it or lose it program. He is urging Congress to get involved here, saying that any company that has a lease on wells on federal land that they aren't using, that they aren't using for production, they need to use that, or else he's asking Congress to fine them, trying to really ramp up the pressure on these companies to increase production here in the U.S. And you saw the president really chastising these companies who may be trying to take advantage of high gas prices to boost their own profits. The president saying, look, this is a matter of patriotism, not your personal profits, that you have to put the country first, and that means that you have to ramp up as much production as you can in the U.S. The president noting there are 9,000 unused but already approved permits for production on federal lands, and that's over 1 million acres, he said, that could be tapped right now. So he's really trying to put the pressure on these companies to step it up. Kira.
All right, Mary, thanks so much. ABC News Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis also joining us, adding in what could be the immediate impact here of Biden's plan on the amount of oil available domestically, and how soon could that extend relief to us?
Well, it's nice to see you, and this could really extend relief to American consumers in the next 3 to 5 days. That's what some analysts anticipate. And as you heard from Deirdre, we're not necessarily talking about a gigantic decrease in prices. Many analysts look at this as a solution that, at least in the near term, will keep prices closer to $4 a gallon than push them up to $5 a gallon, which is the direction that they were heading in. If you look historically at what's been going on here in the United States, gasoline prices a year ago, $3.61. Today, $4.23. So you've seen a pretty dramatic shift over the last year in prices climbing, but you've seen the most dramatic shift in these last couple of weeks with the Russian escalation, with Russia's invasion into Ukraine. And that is where you're getting this Putin's price hike. But you're also seeing prices elsewhere going higher, and that also has been a trend over the last year, Kira. When you look at the fact that groceries are higher, rents are higher, so so many things that Americans rely on, up 7.9% over the last 12 months. And the big concern that economists look at this question with is the fact that as prices climb, they threaten to derail the economy. They threaten to derail the positive things that are going on. The fact that there are all of these job openings, the fact that the economy has been growing productively and at record levels coming out of the pandemic. All of these things, if American consumers are faced with these higher prices in all of these areas, as well as businesses, you know, it takes fuel to do all of these things, to bring groceries to a grocery store. It takes fuel to run a manufacturing facility. So it's an input cost that ends up being rippled throughout the system, and that is why there's so much attention being paid here. I will also add that when it comes to energy companies, which were a large focus of Biden's message, President Biden's message today, it is an interesting message in this time where climate change and the environment are such a focal point for the future. The transition, if you're thinking about the future and where investment should be going in the long run, it is not necessarily from the standpoint of these energy companies. It is not necessarily in the investment in the old way of doing business. It is in the investment of the new way of doing business. And that's going to be a question going forward as this administration puts more and more pressure on energy companies to invest more and more in the old way of doing things, Kira.
Rebecca, thanks so much. And looking at the long run, like Rebecca just said, talking about the new way of business, Deidre, let's wrap it up. Does this get us any closer to energy independence?
Kira, by some calculations, we are actually already independent in the sense that we do export more energy than we import. But the longer term concern, at least if you're speaking with these oil and energy companies, are what is the future? There is this kind of lag between using fossil fuels and the green future that President Biden spoke about and what needs to happen in between. So I think that is a larger focus, at least from the industry's point of view. And of course, as the president alluded to, a lot of our energy issues right now and the supply and demand imbalances are due to COVID, due to the pandemic, due to the fact that we essentially shut down the global economy, not just us, obviously other countries in the world in response to COVID. And that is part of what we are working through as well, Kira.
All right. Thanks to all of you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.